So, since these January 6th trial hearings have started, I have been asked nonstop, Michael, have you been keeping up with the trials? Did you see the trials? No. I have not watched 1 second of the January 6th trials. I have not watched one video that has been presented as evidence at the January 6th trials. I don't give a flying fuck about the January 6th trials, and here's why. When Donald Trump was elected in 2016, actually, slightly before he was elected, going into the election, he started being accused of colluding with Russia. For 4 years, the Democratic Party spent countless hours and millions of dollars investigating potential election fraud and Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. The Mueller report found nothing, absolutely nothing. 4 years. In that 4 years, in 2020, Trump was brought up on his first impeachment. The person that submitted those papers was one Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Now, if you watch my channel and you watched the video I did last week regarding Nancy Pelosi, I will recap for you. Nancy Pelosi, on her financial disclosures, has an investment called the Mosher Partnership LLC. The Mosher Partnership is connected to the Barton Mosher Ranch, which has a partnership with GenCorp, which is actually now Aerojet Rocketdyne. Aerojet Rocketdyne's headquarters is on an old piece of the Mosher Ranch that was sold to them. Aerojet Rocketdyne owns a subsidiary, 100% owned, called the Easton Development Company, LLC. The Easton Development Company, LLC sold a piece of property called the Hillsborough piece to a one Paul Pelosi himself in the form of a Russell Ranch housing development that he has invested between $5 and $25 million on. That is also listed on his financial disclosure as Russell Ranch, LLC. So far this year, this Mosher Partnership, aka Aerojet Rocketdyne, has paid out Pelosi between $1 and $5 million in income. This is reported on the financial disclosures for 2022 so far this year, by the way. For those of you that don't know what Aerojet Rocketdyne is, Aerojet Rocketdyne makes all the important missile components that go into all of our missile systems and defense systems, like the Javelin or the Stinger missiles and all of the ground-to-air defense missile systems that we have. They make all of those parts. They have $6.5 billion in government contracts, and all of their business is done through government contracts, all of their revenue, except 10%. 10% of their revenue comes from real estate, that Easton Development Company. If you look on a map, and I showed this in my last video, Russell Ranch, the housing development that Pelosi is doing, is about a mile down the road, just south of Highway 50 in Rancho Cordova, California, outside Sacramento. Between Aerojet Rocketdyne's headquarters and Russell Ranch, which is about a mile apart, just north of Highway 50, right in the middle, is Micron Technology. Micron is a company that Pelosi has been buying call options for the last 2 or 3 years. You can't make this up. By the way, he has another real estate investment right up the road. Again, I'll tag my other video. I have the evidence there. You can go see in-depth details on what I'm talking about. Which means, in 2020, when Nancy Pelosi brought up Trump on impeachment, the impeachment was for holding lethal aid, defense aid, that, or in the form of money, $214 million worth, to be specific, that was supposed to be allocated to the Department of Defense to buy all of those weapon systems and send it over to Ukraine. An attempt to supposedly open up an investigation on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden for their dealings in Ukraine. Now, there is actual factual evidence, undeniable evidence in the form of Devon Archer, his business partner at Rosemont Seneca, who is also on the board of Burisma, who was making direct payments to Hunter Biden himself every month, between $20,000 and $50,000 a month for about 3 years. The financial documents, I can tag them, but they are, if you go back and see Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine, I have another video, all the evidence is linked there. These are off of Devon Archer's financial statements, like literal the transactions made out to Hunter Biden himself. he was doing illegal things in Ukraine. Joe Biden at the time wasn't even in the primary for the election. They were in the primary for the election. It just so happened to be a political opponent, but really wasn't because he hadn't even won the primary yet. But again, in an attempt to open up a investigation in Ukraine on Hunter Biden, which, remember, Joe Biden threatened to withhold funds himself unless the prosecutor closed the investigation on his son. Funny how that is, right? No penalties at all. Trump withheld that money to Ukraine in the form of lethal defense, some of which was going to come from, guess what? Rocketdyne, which means that Trump withholding aid to Ukraine did nothing more than cut into Nancy Pelosi's bottom line on her family's investments. That is it. Pelosi has been receiving investment income from Rocketdyne through an indirect partnership since before 2010. You had the Iraq War, the Afghan War, and now in Ukraine. It is the most corrupt shit ever. So Trump was first impeached because it impacted one of the Speaker of the House's bottom line, which is illegal. Then the Democrats spent 4 years accusing him and investigating him with money and time that could have been used to better the American people for 4 years. And now we are going to have hearings and over 2 years worth of investigations on a riot that caused less than $1 million in damage. Think about that. Pelosi got paid more this year so far in 6 months with the Ukraine war and the $40 billion we fucking sent over there than the total amount of damage caused by this riot. And this riot supposedly happened because people were mad that there could be election fraud. You can't make this up. So one side is mad that the election was probably fraudulent, and they go and break into the Capitol building because they're pissed. They start throwing people in jail, and they are now, even after they impeached Trump already over this, trying to investigate this and possibly what's going to be the outcome of this? You put Trump in jail? You spent 4 years accusing Trump of doing the same fucking thing. There's a huge double standard. I want to read something, and this is the 14th Amendment, Section 4. This is literally out of the Constitution. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties or for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. Which means that all of the receipts, all of the costs that has gone into investigating January 6th, all of the people that have been paid in this investigation, the American people cannot go back and audit and question any of those debts that have been incurred for this entire investigation. It is nothing more than a fucking money grab to funnel money back into the Democratic Party and help fund their campaign elections come midterms. Not only is it going to help fund the campaigns, it's going to fund the campaign of one Nancy Pelosi to try and keep her as the Speaker of the House so she can keep making money on a fucking conflict that is killing several thousand Russians and Ukrainians. And we are the cause for it all. And we are going to keep being the cause because we keep sending money left and right, and our politicians, like Pelosi, just keep making bank from it. And nothing's going to change. That is why I don't give a shit about the January 6th protests. If they wanted to cause an insurrection, think about this. The people that were at the riot were supposedly conservative, right? The majority of conservatives I talk to are firearm owners, and they own it because of the purpose of the Second Amendment, to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic. So if they wanted to overthrow what they deemed tyrannical government, if it was an insurrection, why would they forget the one fucking tool that they have to do so? Why wouldn't they have given themselves the best chance possible if this was planned? I would have forgotten my clothes before I forgot my firearm in that circumstance. Would you not agree? They did not do an insurrection. It's funny because 2 days ago, after the Roe v. Wade decision, the protesters broke into the Senate House in Arizona. Completely broke in. No insurrection there. You don't even hear about it. So it's a huge double standard. It was not an insurrection, and it is nothing more than a money grab by the left to help fund their political endeavors. And it's covering up the fact that we have spent 4 years listening to the Democrats accusing the Republicans of the election fraud. And Pelosi at the same time is doing nothing but making money as we send it over to kill people over in Ukraine. Again, you may not like my opinion, but these are actual facts as far as Pelosi and this investigation and what I'm reading to you out of the Constitution, and it can't be denied. If you want the evidence, I'll link some here in the description. You can go back and look at my last video I did last week regarding Nancy Pelosi's investments. I actually show the map and all of that. I think everyone should go watch that. Thank you.